cases, how many people are broken in this country because somebody wants them broken? Do you know?
Yeah, I know what there's some.
Oh, wait. Now, the point is, you want to put people in government that are honest.
But the thing is, there aren't any really honest.
Well, they're honest people. You can find them at Union Rescue Mission. They don't have any money, they have no vested interest. You know what I mean?
That's why they're honest, because they don't have anything. Because if they
That's
had a chance...
Now, if you want anybody in politics, put the people of Union Rescue Mission in politics. But don't give them any income. Give them oatmeal, beans, and a bed to sleep on. And they can never own anything. Make honest decisions. Does he want to go to war? He says, fuck it. There'll be no war.
At the moment they make $1 million, 20 years.
No, not $1 million, $11. See? He got trouble. Okay? All right, so what I'm trying to tell you is the way our government is today, and all governments all over the world, not only our government, they're always the same. They're not worth a shit. Now, the army is corrupt, the police are corrupt, everybody. There's nothing that's any good. Now, the priesthood is corrupted. I'm going to try to prove that to you, if you don't believe it, do you?
It is corrupt.
Do you remember God's right-hand man, his best friend named Lucifer? An angel? He wanted to take God's throne away from him? Well, he can't even get his best friends to work with him. How stupid he is to ask man to do the right thing. He can't even get his own angels to work with him. You know what I'm talking about? If there's a God. Because I don't believe there is, because I think they've made him so dumb from the Bible. They made him as dumb as the people who believe in him. See? Now, you wouldn't know exactly what I'm talking about. But do you think that if you knew Albert Einstein, if you knew him personally, do you think that you'd tell him what to do?
Would I tell him what to do?
In math?
No, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't know enough to tell him what to do.
Right. Now, you think that God is 1,000,000 times smarter than Einstein, or 50 billion times smarter, right?
God is has no beginning, has no end.
He knows everything.
Right.
You don't have to tell him.
To me.
You don't have to tell him that you got a pain in the ass and you'd like it eased.
I don't have to tell him that. No, you're right. I don't pray for things like that.
Right. Nobody has to tell him anything. Because when you tell him you got a toothache or your asshole hurts, and he listens and looks down and says, "Ooh, is that right?" You understand? You make him dumb when you do that. So I feel that in dealing with that kind of subject at all, we don't deal with it here very much because it doesn't make much sense to us. Now, it might make sense to you. And the message I'm trying to get across to you is that don't be so sure of the things that even you think might be so. Because I'm not sure of many things that I talk about as being so. The only things that I'm sure of are the scientific and technical things. That means if you've got a pump that's fairly well built, and you've examined it, you know how much water an hour you can move from this area to that area, assuming there's no power failure. Right? And miles per gallon on a car, and the general tire wear of a well-inspected tire, and the performance of military airplanes that are well-made are fairly good. You can check them out. But when it comes to, believe me, there's the finest man in politics, we don't have a way of checking that out. Now, I'll tell you something. Did you know that scientists are brought up, this is very important, not to believe anybody? You probably didn't know that.
I knew.
They're brought up this way. They take an oath, and the oath runs like this. I will never believe anybody. I will not believe my father, my mother, my eyes, or my ears. Only that which is measurable. You know what that means? Here's what they mean now.
The thing you say you believe in.
Yeah.
Only that is...
Which is measurable. Now, that's different. Here's what it means. It means that the people that make military airplanes say that this airplane can fall from a 20-foot height, like that, without the landing gear breaking. And the Army says, is that right? And they give them a piece of paper that says, this plane can stand a 20-foot drop, full load, and the landing gear will not collapse. The Army takes that, they say, that's great. And they pull up that whole fucking airplane, wheels and all, and they load it with cement bags, you see? They pull it up 20 feet high, you know that? Even though they got the paper in their hand. And they cut the string, the plane goes, bam, the landing gear holds up, and they say, that's right. I love that system, okay? Otherwise, you really don't know. Because you can say to me, when you manufacture an airplane that you send to Wright Field, that's your government testing center, and I'm an Army test pilot, and I fly that plane, it's perfect. And he says, all right, we'll order 500 of them. How do you know the others are going to be like that? How do you know that the plane sent to Wright Field isn't put together by master craftsmen just to get the contract. Do you know what I'm talking about? I better tell you. Now, you asked me about real cases. During World War II, we got a fish tank. It was a water tank at Wright Field. And there were 2 pieces of wood in there, like that. And they were glued together. And there were 2 big fat springs on there, pulling, like with 40 pounds each on each side. And it was in that water for about 3 months. They sent it from England to show how good their glue was. Is that it? They sent this whole tank full of water. And I looked at it and I said, that's fine. And the colonel said, we're going to order 40 gliders from England that are glued together with that glue. So we ordered 40 gliders. And they were all out on the runway. And we had 2 days of rain. And the wood separated in the gliders, okay? The colonel looked at the tank, looked at the plane, and said, I don't understand that at all. I said, well, the glue that they put in here was refined and carefully measured out. But the glue that they were mixing in the factory, you understand? The lunch hour bell rang while the guy put the glue in there. He turned off the machine, you know what I mean? And then he went on the way out, he got hit by a bag of crack that's on the top, and they took him to the hospital. The other guy came back and he emptied the stuff in the tanks, you know what I'm saying? That's called poor quality control. You know what I'm talking about? Because you don't always know what's in that glue. You don't know whether it was run through perfectly, quality control. You know what I'm talking about? So they did glue all these planes together. And they did come apart. And I said to the colonel that they had poor quality control. That means you've got to examine the glue at all stages, even before it goes on the wing. Is that all right? For an aircraft company to put in all quality control inspectors all along the line, it's much cheaper to give you a 5-year warranty or guarantee on a car instead of putting all those quality control inspectors on a production line. Because they know having all those men to control means you've got to go back and up and back, a lot of trouble, so they give you a warranty. Then when you take it out to have your car worked on, they turn some people on it who know anything about the car. They do a little thing, you call them, says, it still doesn't work. They come in Saturday or Monday at 2 o'clock, and that's hard for you to come in Monday at 2 o'clock. And well, then try to get in Thursday at 7:30. I can't get a little work. Well, try to come in, and they don't give it the attention. And after 3 times, you say, well, fuck it, I'll take it some other place. You understand? So this is all deliberate. Now, when you go to a movie theater, at least drive-ins, and it says, or Cuban theaters, it says, eat at Sam Blowjob. See, you have no business putting any of that shit in a movie theater. When you go in a movie and you pay, it doesn't say, when in Nevada, stop at Euripide Sneed's hotel. You pay to go in that movie. Unless Euripide Sneed says, come on in, enjoy the movie. I'm just paying for the ad. You enjoy it. See? But they have no right to do that in a movie theater. You understand? You're a captive audience. You're there. And they have no right in movie theater to flash on the screen, don't go for paid TV. It's a crock of shit. See? Because paid TV, if it ever came out, it'd wipe out the movies. So they use their controls and their positions to keep people brainwashed. Now let me give you the other corruption. You asked me specifically, who are they? When you buy a war bond for 1875 in the early days, you got $25 10 years later. Did you know that? Do you know anything about war bonds? Do you know where that extra money comes from? To give you extra money? Suppose I took $10 from you now, and it's 20 years from now you're going to get $20 back.
They make off the money, right?
What?
What does that mean?
Well, they get it from you, taxing. There's no way I can get $10 from everybody. You ain't giving back $20 10 years from now. I'm going to raise your taxes to give it back that money. Is that clear?
Then you're not doing it.
The lie is what I'm trying to... Why don't you say, look, we need the money to bring Joe home. Stop about $10 next year, you're not going to get it. We just want the money to help win the war. Do that. Now, when you go to a movie theater and it says, you don't remember this, it said buy war bonds. You ever see that in a movie theater? Well, shit, see, you're too young. You're going to have to ask your dad about it. And it said buy war bonds. Do you know who paid for that film? To get you to buy war bonds? You know who pays for it? You. Well, I can't understand how I would pay to convince myself to buy war bonds. Right? Now, when you drive downtown and you park in front of a meter, do you know who pays for those meters downtown? That's right. Do you know who paid for the motorcycle that girl drives? That's right. You know who paid for a uniform? You know who pays her salary? You know who she works for?
Us.
You'd never know it.
Yeah.
Right? How come a motorcycle cop says, pull over, where do you think you're... He works for you. And that's what
His job.
pull over. No, it isn't his job. That's what it's become. That's what corrupt means. Now here's the way a police officer works in the future. He asks you to pull over. Then he says that the speed limit in this area is 25 miles an hour. Is there any particular reason why you violated it? He said, yeah, my boss says if I come in late one more time at the end of the job, I can't afford that. He said, why were you late? He said, you have a baby that shit just before you were leaving? And you had to change the diapers? He says, well, I can understand those circumstances. He says, geez, try to be careful and try to get up a little early and try to do the best you can. Now, the next day, you're drunk as hell going down the street. By giving you a ticket, that doesn't cause the alcohol to disappear, does it? If you're an alcoholic. By getting alongside you and calling up one of the police cars that are available and put you in that car and help you get home, that's the job of a police officer. The job of a police officer is to assist you, get you home all right, not to hurt you. But you didn't know that. If all of us lived in a community, all of us, and we all chipped in $100 a week and made Teddy a police officer for our community, and my little kid was crawling in somebody else's window, Ted would bring the kid home and says, he was crawling in Carl's window. And I'd have to talk to my kid. I said, look, Carl has his own things. If you want anything, if you feel there's anything lacking, why don't you knock at Carl's door and say, can I borrow your photograph or radio? So if he refuses you, then come and tell me about it. Maybe I can get it for you. Maybe I can provide those things for you. And if I can't, then I can understand what you're doing. I can understand you're sneaking in the movie. I give you $50 a week allowance, and that isn't enough to go to the movie. And everybody else goes to the movie, and you don't go. So you want to go, and your only means is to sneak in. I understand that. That's not wrong. It's just wrong because the guy that owns the movie says it's wrong. I think it's wrong for a guy that owns a movie to charge you $3 admission. I think that's wrong. Let me tell you what I think is wrong. I think it's wrong if a guy like welds 45 points on a automobile, and a machine comes down and welds 45 joints in one shot. I know that the price of the car should go down every year. If the automobiles used to sell for $700 when I was a kid, brand new. Now with faster techniques, less current, better electric motors that are cheaper to operate. Do you know what I'm talking about? Faster paint job, automatic, goes right to the car costs less. I know that. But they say, but the guy used to make $1.50 a day. Now he makes $15 a day. That's why the car costs more. But do you know one man turns out 100 times the work of a guy 15 years ago? You don't know that. You know what I'm talking about or not? So they're lying to you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They are full of shit. That if you charge $10 for this lamp and next year it's $12, I would say your technology stinks. If you can't turn this plastic out cheaper, better, smarter, faster, for a lower cost, you ought to go out of business. So in my book, every American business would have to have a lower price every year. And then things would never go up. People would get more abundance. I see no reason for charging more unless there's this material actually disappears. You know what I mean? If it's gone, I can see a higher price. But anyway, I'm trying to tell you specifically what's wrong. There's another thing. At Idlewild Airport, the runways are not slippery. They're pretty good. But coral wastes are slippery when wet. That's wrong. To put a sign up, slippery when wet. But there's nothing you can do about that. You can drive carefully. But when it says no jaywalking in Coral Gables, that doesn't stop you from jaywalking. How come there are no signs up in the air? 500 feet up in the air. Don't walk up in the air. Because people can't walk up in the air, so there's no sign, right? You don't understand me? Or if you had a sign in the middle of Coral Way that says no jaywalking, people jaywalk. Because if there's a sail over here, and they're not going to walk over here, across the street, and come back over there. But if you had a fence in the middle of the street, that wouldn't stop anything, would it, in traffic? Would it?
Is it a fence?
Yeah, right down the middle of the street, this way.
It was stopping